Trump reveals fourth leg of his proposed tax cuts. No tax on. I don't know. Let's find out. This is a suggestion via Discord, guys. I'm definitely rooting for income tax.
Welcome back to Hannity. We are in Doha, Qatar, and here is part two of my exclusive interview with President Trump aboard Air Force One. We covered a lot of territory. Take a look. There are many legs to your economic plan that you're laying out. One are the trade deals. Second is tax cuts permanent, no tax tips, no tax Social Security,
right.
Okay.
No tax overtime.
Okay.
Another leg would be energy.
Interest deduction on cars. Remember that.
That's
so it's
big.
No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security benefits for seniors, which is so great. Think of it. And no tax on overtime. But there's a fourth leg that I think is really important of that, where middle-income people, but any people, if you buy a car made in America, I'm not interested if it's made anywhere else. I couldn't care less. But if it's made in America, you get, and you borrow money to buy the car, which I guess
most people do.
80% of the people do.
Yeah.
You get a tax deduction on your interest payments. That's a big deal. That's never happened before.
I mean, that absolutely is a great idea, but I mean, I'm still going to go ahead and tell people, like, bro, if you cannot afford the car, maybe don't buy it, buy used, until you can kind of save enough up, let's say, to actually purchase that vehicle in full. I am absolutely not in the camp of wasting money away on interest, but if it's going to come back, then that pretty much wipes that away. So financing may actually be a decent thing, even though you're still going to be paying more money up front.
A big deal for people that are buying cars, but
that's a huge game changer for the car industry too.
Oh, it would be.
I
would be.
One part that you can't control, although maybe you really can because you have such influence with the Republican Party, is the one big beautiful bill. You put out a big statement on that today. And how confident are you, having spent time with Majority Leader Thun, Speaker of the House Johnson?
First of all, Johnson and Thun have been unbelievable. They've done a great job. Their soul is into this, their whole heart and soul, and they're working so hard. And it's always tough when you have a very small, we have a majority, but it's in the Senate 3 votes, and in the Republican, in Congress, it's 7. Now, it was 1 for a period of time. We won some elections in the meantime, but it was actually 1. So now it's 7. And I would say this, even before this big drug and, if you take a look at the cuts that I announced today, if you take a look at the pharmaceutical and drug cuts, they're so massive that I think a lot of Democrats have to vote for the bill, number one. Number two.
That would be great, but generally, if your name's attached to it or the Republican Party is attached to it, they're going to absolutely fight tooth and nail to be as unpatriotic as humanly possible. They don't care about the country. They care about proving their specific point and that their side is morally superior.
So even if I didn't do this today, even if there was no such thing as these, 50 to 90% cuts, I mean, think of it, where we're buying, you're selling drugs in other countries for 5 times more than it costs in the United States. How horrible that is.
It is.
Anyway, but that's going to be a thing of the past.
Some of them are they're cancer drugs too. Sometimes.
Yeah, everything. It's very
life-changing.
Very unfair to people.
Life-changing, life-saving.
They don't have much money. They have enough money to get through this, but then they end up going bankrupt. People were getting themselves fixed up or not getting fixed up. Either way, and still they were going bankrupt all over the place because they couldn't afford the drugs. But if they lived in a different country, they would have paid just a fraction. Think of how horrible that is.
Yep.
Anyway, so I fixed that.
Yeah, guys, it definitely sounds a lot like as kind of expected, looking at through Reddit and things like that, you start to realize that a lot of people who voted specifically for Bernie Sanders on the healthcare thing, a lot of them switched to Trump here. Right. I just want you to know a lot of the Bernie bros of the Clinton era, let's say, a lot of them went to Trump. And it's not so much it's about like party loyalty any longer, guys, because a lot of these people were Democrats to begin with. Understand, Trump was a Democrat, RFK Jr. was a Democrat. A lot of these people just realized that the Democrat Party basically moves so left entirely too left, that it's not sustainable. So now it seems like this is a borrowed thing, let's say from Sanders in this context, and I think that's what attracted a lot of people to Sanders in the first place. And if Trump is going to do this coming from the right, this absolutely would be game changing. But I'm not sure that the left would even appreciate this in any meaningful way. Again. Um, and that's the part that's absolutely frightening. We're entirely too partisan. Country is not being put first any longer. It's just, if this goes against what my echo chamber is believing at this specific moment, then guess what? Nothing is going to come from it.
Think of how horrible that is. Anyway, so I fixed that. Nobody thought it was fixable, and I fixed it. But even without that, I think we would have gotten the bill passed. With it, I think a lot of Democrats have to vote. I saw that a couple of Democrats said, I'd like to be in charge of, I don't know if you saw that. You have a couple of people that go on your show that I assume are moderate Democrats without mentioning names. And both of them said, I don't know about you, but I think I'm going to be voting for this bill. I think a lot of Democrats are going to be forced to vote for the bill because, you add this new element.
It would be great if they did.
If this bill passes, you're going to get a 50 to 90% reduction in prescription drugs and pharmaceuticals. When you add that in, how does a Democrat not vote? I don't think they can win an election if they don't vote for it. But even if you don't include it, I think that the Republicans are very unified and something would happen where they will get this vote.
You know what?
I think it's imperative they vote.
But look at the Democratic Party. Look at the leadership that's emerged. Jasmine Crockett, AOC, the Squad, Grandpa Bernie, they seem to be the most.
Well, look at Schumer. He turned out to be a Palestinian.
And guys, I'm definitely talking about old Bernie, not whatever is going on with Bernie Sanders now. Like back when he was running, he was able to garner like a grassroots type of scenario. Trump even came out to back him at that time.
I knew him right at the beginning. And I tell you what, Schumer turned out, we call him the Palestinian senator, the senator from Palestine. No, Chuck Schumer is very disappointed.
Is he afraid to go against that radical base?
I think he's afraid, yeah.
He is. He's not going to.
He's lost his confidence totally. I just watched Chuck Schumer. I've known him so long, and he's in the other party, but, I've known the guy so long. He's totally lost his confidence.
It's interesting. We're talking about the radicalism of the left, and what's really fascinating is you take up a lot of space in their head. And it's funny, you said, how could they possibly vote against lower prescription drug costs? But in the U.S. Senate, the Democrats were championing the right of men to play women's sports. They've been the party of fighting for the rights of illegals, even Tren de Aragua, Abrego Garcia, etc. They're the party that thinks it's a constitutional crisis, that you and Doge have had nearly $200 billion in waste, fraud, and abuse. They think that's a constitutional crisis. So you're asking, how could they be that extreme? Aren't they that extreme?
Well, not all of them. I think you have a lot of them that they don't know where they are right now. I think they don't know what to do, like men playing in women's sports. I saw a guy that I know, a good guy, Democrat. He's trying to justify, 2 days ago on television, he's being hammered. And he's trying to justify men playing in women's sports, and it's sad. I wanted to call him and say, you better get off that subject. That's not an 80-20, that's about a 97-3, okay? If they talk about, the famous, they always say it's 80-20. What's not, a lot of these things are not 80-20, like transgender for everybody. Let's have transgender for everybody, your kids, everybody. That's not an 80-20. They always say that's 80-20. That's 99-1, I would say. So, look.
I mean, it's probably a little bit closer to 80-20. I would say that 20% of the population probably is absolutely on the side of doing all types of things in this manner here, all willy-nilly. Like no holds bars. Like if you one day decide that this is it, then they absolutely will agree to you doing all of the things that are required to make sure we can confirm something, even though specifically, the genitalia doesn't mean what you are, but in order to affirm it, you have to change it. I don't know how this works, guys. I'm absolutely befuddled here. Okay. But hopefully you understand what I'm trying to point out here. 20% of the population absolutely believe that if you are basically 2 years old, you can do this. I'm forecasting.
In one way, I don't like talking about it because I don't want to talk them out of it. because,
It's
it
driving
would be
voters
harder
away.
to beat them if they were
Right.
normal on things. It shows that they're almost insane. And they do suffer from Trump derangement syndrome at a high level. And I guess I'm honored by that. But I'll say this, look, we had an election. You were so wonderful to me. You were really an amazing professional. You did it for the right reason. You didn't do it for the wrong reason, but you were so professional. And we won every swing state. We won the popular vote by a lot. We won everything. We won a thing called, that people don't like, districts. So in the country, you have districts, thousands of districts. We got 2,750 districts versus 525 districts. Think of that. That's why when you look at a map, it's actually a very important stat. When you look at a map, the map shows it's practically all red, the Republican Party. And this is a big party. We won. Look how well we did with the auto workers. We won the Teamsters. The Teamsters were big for us. The unions were big. The non-unions were big. Right to work was massive. But the unions, we won unions all over the place. And we basically won workers. We also won people of common sense. Rich people, poor people, middle-income people. We won sort of everybody. If you take a look at the stats, we did great with Hispanic. The Hispanic people came to us like nobody's ever seen before.
Don't you think the Republican Party is now the party of working men and women?
I do.
I mean, when you put out the threat of tariffs, it was interesting. Between countries and companies, and I would scroll the list on my TV show, pledging $8 trillion, trillion with a T, in manufacturing.
Yeah, more.
Chips, cars, pharmaceuticals, they're going to manufacture back in this country. That was just the threat of tariffs. Now the deals are beginning to follow.
So we're here for really 2 months, because it's 3.5. But you got to give me a month to get ready. Make the Oval Office a little more beautiful and things like that we're doing, right? But so we're really here. Let's say actively for 2 months. So in 2 months we have probably over $10 trillion committed. $10 trillion, whereas most presidents wouldn't have $1 trillion over the course of the entire presidency.
Yeah, you're right.
And if you look
in
at
this context,
this poor soul, this lost soul from the last presidency, and I say that because he was a very mean person. They went after our people, including me, but he was a very mean person. He was not a smart person. In fact, if you go back 30 years ago, he wasn't a smart person. You go
I'll agree.
back to prime time.
30 years ago?
He wasn't a smart person, but he was a very mean person. Joe
Crime
Biden's
Bill
a very
Biden?
mean person. People don't understand that. They've ruined lives. They've ruined families. They've ruined so many people. They could have ruined me. They tried to ruin me. But we're now in Air Force One, flying nicely to the Middle East, right? But they tried to ruin me. But some people weren't able to fight back. Their families have been destroyed. And the level, he knew what was going on, too.
Okay, guys. All right. Intriguing. Now, if we were actually to make it so we can kind of get a tax return, let's say on the interest that's paid, I can definitely imagine that a lot more people would probably be financing things, and specifically in the realm of American vehicles. Now, just because people decide to start purchasing American vehicles, I definitely do hope that the quality of some of the vehicles increase, right? I mean, people would be more likely to purchase things if they knew that these things would last them more than 60,000 to 100,000 miles, because pretty much based off of the technology that exists in, let's say, East Asia, right? I mean, hopefully we understand here. Longevity is the reality in some of these places. So if we can actually get back to building things that actually last, all right, that'll be amazing. Completely. I mean, diesels, solid Allison transmissions on more things than already they're on, basically, right? If we can do things like that, build vehicles that have actual longevity, I can imagine Americans deciding, hey, listen, we're going to get this American-made car. Keep in mind also, there are some foreign manufacturers that are manufacturing in the United States of America. All right, like Toyota, BMW. I think BMW's in South Carolina, North Carolina, one of the Carolinas, guys, right? So do those count? Because if people will start buying a lot more of these things just because it says made in America on it, even though the manufacturer itself is branded, from a company that specifically is not from the United States of America. Okay, keep that in mind. I guess depending on how that actually works, I definitely cannot wait to get more information on that because a lot more people would finance. But we also need to definitely make it so the price gouging of some of these vehicles are pretty much massively lowered here. Some of these vehicles are massively overpriced. Specifically, the vehicles people actually use for work purposes, like these work trucks. Why is a work truck $120,000, guys? 150? Have you seen that new Ford Shelby, a 774 horsepower monstrosity? Bro, why is that $150,000? Right? Ford Raptors. Why are they so expensive? I mean, I get it. They're the premier, variant of, some of these trucks here, guys. But why are they so expensive? Because I remember growing up thinking $100,000 for a vehicle was crazy. I remember growing up thinking $1,000 um, like car note was absolutely wild. I remember looking growing up specifically looking for a Lamborghini Gallardo. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna grow up and buy a Lamborghini Gallardo. I remember looking at it specifically. It was $78,000 when I looked at it. All right, $78,000. It was like $1,100 a month, and I was like, that's crazy, guys. Everything costs that. That's everything now. All right. So just understand. Let's bring these prices back down to reality. Also, one of these companies, if any company specifically, an American company, can make a vehicle that is just a vehicle and then charge, bro, less sub $20,000 for it, brand new, it would take the market. Okay, like a little 2 liter, two liter turbo or something like that, guys. Some with a bare minimum of everything inside of it. We're talking about just a vehicle that you take from here to there, like nothing special, nothing special at all, no specialty, nothing. All right, I get it. All these companies have basically moved over to making everything luxury. Right, so every single manufacturer has given up the cheap, the cheap first car. They've given up on it. No one wants to do that. For what? I want to put, I don't know, Italian leather and crocodile and real wood on the dashboard. Bro, come on. All right. Let's make it so cars are affordable. People can do this. And if they want to finance them, they can finance them and then get some type of return on at least the interest, like similar to when you own a house. Okay. I think that would absolutely be brilliant. Okay. But all right, listen, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think. You guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly.